Alright, now I know what you're saying. Wait a minute. You haven't finished your last series of reviews yet. What about Lost? Well, you see, I decided I'm not ready to dive into the final season of Lost just yet. That's so can of worms I'm not ready to open. But I've decided to move on to a new series, and that being, you see the title of this video, Sliders. And so we're gonna start season 1. This is the combo pack, season 1 and 2. These are weird cases. Little history with me. I bought these single release, season release DVDs. So season 1 and 2, and then there's season 3, season 4, and season 5. My local Walmart only had 1 and 2, 3, and 4. I didn't know 5. But I always wanted to have the entire series. I never knew anything about this. My friend and I saw them at Walmart and thought, why don't we try to get into it? So I bought this, and then I bought the other 2 eventually. But season 5 was not here, so, eventually, though, my Walmart released the complete series. So I grabbed that, got rid of these, pawned off these versions. The only problem is they're Mill Creek releases, and their cases for their TV seasons or TV series are terrible. And then my discs end up getting scratched. So I had to rebuy the single series release from online, eBay, including season 5, which I now have. But there's a big difference. So Sliders is a series that aired from 1996 to 2000. And, well, Fox had it. They didn't exactly stay out of the creative process. They actually decided to air episodes out of order. And that is why the first 3 seasons, which were the seasons that were on Fox, after that it moved to the Sci-Fi Channel. But the first 3 seasons, all the episodes were aired. Now, some episodes were aired out of order. And it is prevalent watching season 1 that there were some aired out of order. I remember watching this. Some things were a little confusing, but then when you watch the complete series version, see, this version has the episodes as they were aired, so out of order. But the complete series version has them in their original intended air format, as they were originally intended to be aired. And it makes more sense because on here, the episode, the episode Summer of Love comes after the episode Prince of Wales. But Prince of Wales, it picks up after Summer of Love. In fact, Rembrandt is wearing the same outfit he did in Summer of Love at the beginning of Prince of Wales. And I'm watching this tonight and I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But, yeah. So, what is Sliders? Now I've wasted 4 minutes talking about nonsense. Sliders is a show that ran for 5 seasons. And it follows Quinn Mallory. I'm put this down because I'm sick of shaking it around. It follows Quinn Mallory, who is a college student who accidentally comes across the he created a machine that I believe was originally intended for time travel, but he accidentally creates a machine that is able to transport them to parallel Earths. And he brings along with him his friend and love interest, Wade Wells. She's a female. I mean, it's the 90s, but wasn't this progressive. His college professor, Maximilian Arturo, by far is one of the best characters in the show, and a washed up rhythm and blues singer for a comeback, Rembrandt Crying Man Brown. A quick synopsis of the pilot here is that he discovers that, that he found a way to a parallel Earth when he goes through, and it's the opposite world where red is go, green is stop, and everything's opposite. And his mom is pregnant by the gardener. And then he comes back and he tries to tell everyone, Professor Wade, but he finds that something strange is going on. Supposedly he told off his professor and his boss and he got fired. But he wasn't there. It turns out there was another version of him. And that version wants Quinn to become Slider, as he calls it, like him. So he brings his professor and Wade over to show them, and they decide they're going to go together to accommodate for more than one person. He tries to raise it so that it can fit more than one person, just to make it a little bit stronger, and accidentally makes it too strong and also sucks in the Crying Man. They end up on a parallel Earth where a second ice age has happened, and a ice tornado is barreling down on them, and he's forced to mess with the timer, which his double specifically told him not to. But in this case, he had no choice. They end up in what they think is back in their world, but it turns out it's not. It's a world where the Soviets won the Cold War. And then they get through all this, they find Wade's double, blah, 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 yada, 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 as they say in Seinfeld. And they end up another Earth they think is their own, but it's not because Quinn's father is still alive. This cliffhanger is never resolved. Even in the episode that's supposed to follow it, because once again, out of order, it's still not followed up. But, yes, and this is an interesting concept for a show. What if you could go to parallel Earth? It's a what-if concept. And basically, at least in the second season at least, they thought of, what if this happened? What if this didn't happen? What if we did this? What if they did that? Stuff like that. It's an interesting concept. And it works. Like, in this season alone, we have, let's see, what if there was a world where there was a global pandemic from a virus? What if there was an Earth where an asteroid was headed to Earth, and in this world there was no nuclear power? So the professor has to make one. What if there was a world where the summer of love never ended? Every day is like the 60s again. Or what if there's a world where academics, brains, were the sports? A world where women were the superior sex over men. A world where the Crying Man is the greatest. Rembrandt Crying Man Brown is the greatest singing treasure in the world, known as the King, kind of like Elvis. What if there was a world where there was a lottery, but the lottery was actually a way to keep the population control? Yeah, it's all done in the first season, 29 episodes in season 1. But yes, if I do have one thing to kind of harp on here, not harp on, but pick on, is these sort of, okay, so we are shown like from the first episode that Wade has unrequited feelings for Quinn. He doesn't reciprocate them, nothing. Then there's an episode, I don't know how far in because it's probably aired out of order, where they are stuck on this world, and they sort of become close. And then in the last episode of the season, they bring it up again, which makes me think that perhaps it's supposed to air back to back. Let's see. I think Last Days was supposed to air closer to Luck of the Draw, but The King is Back was always supposed to air before that, so I don't know. But yeah, But the network would end up getting involved with the show further, which I'll discuss in later seasons. But for now, this is just the basic. They jump from world to world. It's kind of like Stargate SG-1, where they jump from planet to planet, you know. But here they're trying to get home, whereas in Stargate it's exploring new worlds type thing. Here they're trying to find their way home, and they're hoping the next world they land in is home. You know what I mean? The acting in this is terrific. Jerry O'Connell, I think this was his first big thing that he did. I know he had Stand By Me and a few other things, but I think this was his first big project, you know, by himself, not, you know. I mean, I say he's the lead, but there's actually 4 leads. You have John Rhys Davies. You know, by the way, Jerry O'Connell plays Quinn. You have John Rhys Davies playing Maximilian Arturo, and he is fantastic in the role. He has probably my favorite quote in the entire series, and it's in this season. It's the episode "The King Is Back," where they go and Rembrandt is seen, and they believe he is the king come back from the dead. They think Quinn is Jim Morrison for some reason, and they think the Professor Arturo is the Italian opera singer Pavarotti, which they do look very similar, because I did look it up back when I first saw this. They are very similar. But my favorite quote comes from him when they keep calling him Mr. Pavarotti. He goes, "Mr. Pavarotti is an Italian. He speak like this. Do I speak like this? No. Why? Because I'm an Englishman, you blithering idiot." I love that line. Wade Wells is played by Sabrina Lloyd, and she's there. The producers wanted a strong female lead, but they ended up with a whiny one. And it's not her fault. It just maybe the network got involved. I don't know, but we'd get a strong female lead later. But here, not so much. She mostly whines first about how Finn doesn't notice her, or Quinn doesn't notice her, and then about whiny little things. Most of the time, she's the one that wants, you know, why can't we do this? Or why can't we do that? And man, she's a little too much. And I've never really cared for her anyway. I like Maggie in the later seasons, actually, but she's fine, but the other 3 characters make the show for me. And then there we have Clement Derricks as Rembrandt Crying Man Brown. Let me tell you, this man, along with Max Arturo, make the show for me. The Crying Man was on his way to sing at a baseball game when he got sucked into the vortex. He was hoping that would be his big comeback. Probably not, but he was hoping. And so in the episode, The King Is Back, when he finally has that chance, you know, I think that could have been the end of the Crying Man's tale, but not the end of, you know, of a Crying Man on the show. Let me explain. In that world, he comes across a doppelganger of himself, played by his actual twin brother, Clinton Derricks Carroll. Yes, he has a twin. Good luck. And I don't know why I didn't notice it at first. It took me like a couple times going through the series to realize that they were using a double. I remember the first time I was like, something's off about him. And then the second time I go through, I'm like, no, something's off about him. I gotta look it up. He has a twin brother, actually. And yes, it's very obvious, because when they have doubles going forward of the other main actors, they do a thing where you see one shot looking, and it cuts the other shot looking the other way. They cut shots. But with them, they're on screen, they're touching each other, they're doing this. So you know that there's twins involved, which hasn't been done in shows before, but it's really cool. My point here is that our Rembrandt could have stayed behind, because our Rembrandt wanted the fame, and that Rembrandt from that world didn't like the fame. I don't like how they ended the episode, because our group could have taken, the Sliders, they're called, could have taken the other Rembrandt with them. It wouldn't be the same. And they wouldn't even have to use the twin brother, because they could just, have Clement Derricks continue to play the role. It'd just be the other Rembrandt. And, that would kind of tie our Rembrandt story around in a nice little bow. And we have another Rembrandt whose story where he can, he's found a new way to go. Away from the spotlight, he just keeps on going. He's found a new path. That would work. But on the other hand, our Remy, it's still good to have him on the show. Then we get to the season finale, which is called Luck of the Draw, where they find the lottery world. And in this lottery world, they find the lottery is actually a way to control the population. They euthanize with this weird... I'll talk about this scene. So Rembrandt falls in love with a woman who falls in love with him, but she's all for this. And so when he tries to get her to come with them, she has him arrested. And she takes the little serum thing in front of him, and it's... No, I wouldn't be for this in normal society, but it seems like it's painless, it's quick, and it's like, oh, I feel the light, so it's not like they're murdering people, slaughtering them, cutting their heads off. No, it's euthanasia painless. The suicide is painless, as they say in the MASH theme song. But I still wouldn't be for it. But anyway, on this trip, Wade meets a guy named Ryan, who's also won the lottery and is set up to die. He slides with them, and the police catch on to him because they go to rescue Rembrandt, and a gun is fired. Now, when they jump through, Ryan and the dog is with them. And I'll talk about it when we get to season 2, but network stuff. We'll just say that. The network. So, when they get there, Quinn falls over and show that he's been shot. And that's how the season ends. Well, it ends with Wade going, "No!" And I'm sorry, but I laughed my ass off. Was that really the best take they could do with that? I feel like maybe they could have Rembrandt going, "No!" And that would be better than her screaming no. But, yes, and this was supposed to be the beginning of a love triangle, as we saw in this episode, where her and Quinn were sort of talking. They're about to kiss, and she's like, or they're about to talk about it, and he's like, "I thought we weren't doing that anymore," and I don't know. And then there's Ryan that she's hanging around with. Who knows where it would have gone, but I'll discuss that in season 2. Season 1 of Sliders is pretty good. There's good continuity if you watch the episodes in order. Oh, by the way, there's also an episode Eggheads. There's a plot where the FBI are investigating the Sliders' whereabouts. If you watch it in the way it's supposed to be ordered, it makes sense, but not. I mean, I don't know. But let's just say that's dropped in season 2. And like I said, I'll explain why. Season 1 of Sliders is actually pretty good. Actually, I think the first 4 seasons are decent. When we get to season 5, that's when people say season 4 jumped the shark, which, yeah. But season 5 really kind of, what they do to keep the show going without some aspects of the show, yeah. But season 1, as contained as one season and episodes, still pretty good watch. I think the actors all around do very good, especially Clement Derricks and John Rhys Davies. Yeah, pretty good all around. So what are your thoughts on season 1 of Sliders? Leave in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.